Regular press conference by Foreign Minister IWAYA will begin. The floor is yours, Minister. Thank you for coming. Today marks the passage of 2 years since the situation in the Gaza Strip began to exacerbate, launched by the terrorist attacks by Hamas against Israel. At the moment, through the efforts made by intermediaries, including the United States, and regional countries, including Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, negotiations to end the crisis are underway. Suspension of unilateral actions by Israel, sustainable ceasefire, immediate release of all hostages, and humanitarian assistance to end the agony of the people in Gaza at the earliest possible timing are what's truly needed at this very moment. And we truly hope that all stakeholders will act following the plan proposed by President Trump. On the occasion of the United Nations General Assembly last month, Prime Minister Ishiba and I stated that Japan will continue to play a realistic and proactive role in advancing, even by a single step, towards the goal of a two-state solution, and that we will continue to play such proactive roles in cooperation with relevant countries and organizations. That concludes my initial remarks.
Those of you with questions, proceed to the nearest microphone. State your name and affiliation before asking questions. Kamara-san from NHK. Kamara from NHK. Regarding the fighting in Gaza Strip, I have a question. Last month, the humanitarian crisis worsened, and the Japanese government decided to provide over 800 million yen in grant aid to support local medical care. Online, we see opinions such as, "We want the money used for struggling Japanese people. It's just handouts, wasteful spending." How does the government plan to gain public understanding for this grant aid initiative? In Palestine, ever since the clash between Israeli and Palestinian armed forces in October 2023, the humanitarian situation, in particular in the Gaza Strip, has markedly worsened. Improving health and nutrition conditions of those who are vulnerable, such as children and women, is an urgent issue. Given these circumstances, on September 22nd, via WHO, we have signed and exchanged notes for grant aid to strengthen basic healthcare services and public health functions for the Palestinians, including those in Gaza. The situation in Gaza is a grave concern for many of the Japanese public, I'm sure. So what you have shown there, your question, the thinking, I do not quite understand. In the Middle East, historically, a range of conflicts and confrontations have occurred. There are many factors causing instability, but supporting Middle East's peace and stability is very critical for Japan, given that we rely very much on the Middle East for oil imports. From that perspective, the region is very critical. So we are providing humanitarian aid. It also contributes greatly to Japan's national interest. And ODA, including grant aid, is sourced from public money. Given Japan's severe fiscal condition, it is needless to say that it is supported by Japanese people's understanding and cooperation. Therefore, through various PR activities, we are trying to gain the understanding and cooperation of the general public, and we will redouble our efforts at that going forward.
Next question. The Baba-san Nikkei newspapers. My question is with regards to the UNESCO Director General election. Mr. Khaled El Enani, former Minister of Tourism and Antiquities of Egypt, was elected. You met him in May. What's your take of this result of the election? As you have rightly pointed out, on the 6th of this month local time, as a result of a vote by the UNESCO Executive Board, Mr. El Enani, former Minister of Tourism and Antiquities of Egypt, was nominated the incoming Director General of UNESCO. In May of this year, I had the opportunity to meet with the foreign minister, and I wholeheartedly welcome his nomination. In order to respond to global challenges in such areas as education, science, culture, and communication, the role to be played by UNESCO continues to be of great significance. And in order for UNESCO to serve up to its mission, I truly hope that the new Director General will exercise strong leadership, and the Japanese government will continue to support the activities of the incoming Director General. Thank you.
Kuriyama-san of Yomiuri Shimbun, please go ahead. Kuriyama from Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper. On the 6th, Australia signed a mutual defense treaty with Papua New Guinea. This is seen as an attempt to counter China's expanding influence in the Pacific island nations. How does the Japanese government perceive and evaluate this treaty, including whether it contributes to regional stability? Please. I understand that yesterday, in the Australian capital of Canberra, Prime Minister Albanese and Prime Minister Marape, heads of state of Australia and PNG, signed a bilateral mutual defense treaty. Both countries are important partners for Japan to achieve FOIP, Free and Open Indo-Pacific. So multi-layer cooperation among like-minded countries like these is critical for the region's stability. It is significant in that regard. And Japan welcomes the strengthening of the two countries' security relations this time. And going forward, on our part, we would like to continuously closely collaborate with Australia and PNG, who are like-minded countries, to contribute to regional peace and stability going forward.
Kyodo Press, Kyodo News, Kajikawa-san. I have a question with regards to the new Secretary General of the LDP. Ms. Takaichi Sanae was elected as new president. What's your take? How do you evaluate the election of Ms. Takaichi? And at the recent press conference, President Takaichi referred to the strengthening of the Japan-U.S. alliance and Japan-U.S.-ROK relationship. On the other hand, she has never experienced senior foreign policy-related positions in the government nor in the party, and her diplomatic capabilities are untested. Her positions are leaned towards the conservative side, and she is known as a hardliner China hawk. Minister, what do you expect out of her in foreign policy? Do you think her appointment will impact Japan's relations with China or the ROK? President Trump will visit Japan later this month. And how does the Ishiba administration consider handing over foreign policy to the incoming government? First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt congratulations to the new president of the LDP, Ms. Takaichi Sanae. I will not comment based on prejudice, but if the election of Prime Minister at the extraordinary session of the Diet proceeds smoothly, she will become the first ever female Prime Minister of Japan. So in that sense, she will become an epoch-making leader of our country, and I truly hope for her success in her activities as the Prime Minister. On the other hand, in Japan and outside of Japan, there are mounting challenges, and that applies to foreign policy. Policies and politics cannot afford to pause even for an instant. And the diplomatic calendar for the Prime Minister or the incoming Prime Minister is becoming full, and so I truly hope that she will respond appropriately and lead the world, which is portrayed by divide and confrontation, to lead such a world towards harmony and cooperation with Japan, becoming the knot or linkage. I truly hope that she will proceed with such foreign policy. And as long as my own tenure continues until the final moment, I will devote myself to diplomacy based on dialogue and cooperation. And Japanese foreign policy will continue to be based on the linchpin of our foreign policy, which is the U.S.-Japan alliance, but we also place weight on our relationship with like-minded countries. So at the same time, we need to have a network of such strong relationship. So I hope that she will work hard to maintain and strengthen such relationship. And again, foreign policy with neighboring countries must be well managed, or else Prime Minister will not be able to respond effectively in relations with other countries. China and ROK are our neighbors. All the more so because we are next doors, we have some difficult and complex challenges between us. But I hope she continues to engage in dialogue tenaciously and thoroughly and strengthen and establish future-oriented, healthy relationship with these countries. And I'm sure that she will well respond to such demands. And regarding the visit to Japan by President Trump, nothing has been decided, but there are many events in the diplomatic calendar for the incoming Prime Minister, one after another, including such a possible event. So, relationship with ASEAN and our linchpin of diplomacy, which is the U.S.-Japan alliance, these are the points that she will take on and devote herself to further strengthen such relationship. So we will continue to prepare for the incoming administration until the last day of this administration.
Asahari-san of Pan Orient, please.
Certain Japanese political parties with which the LDP, your party, intends to engage in cooperation seem to hold foreign policy principles that differ from your party and Komeito party, both of which are currently against recognizing Palestine as a state. I understand that your minister and Prime Minister Ishiba have talked about possible measures against Israel. So may I ask what kind of measures are these, and also how would you address the concerns of those political parties who seek recognition of Palestine as a state? Thank you.
LDP being against a recognition of Palestine as a state, I think that is a misunderstanding. As I repeatedly said, we have consistently been supporting a two-state solution. So recognition of Palestine as a state, it's not whether we recognize or not. That is not the question. It is the question of when. That stance remains unchanged. What is most important is for Palestine to exist in a sustainable way and also to coexist with Israel. Based on President Trump's proposal, consultations are underway, as I understand it. So a true two-state solution, it is important to take a stepwise effort toward that, and we would like to spare no effort and support for that as well. with which political parties LDP will cooperate going forward from the position of a foreign minister, I would like to refrain from making any comments on that. With respect to this issue, many political parties are having keen interest in this, I'm sure. So in the consultations to follow, the ideal situation will be explored. So with which political parties, what kind of framework is to be established or not by the LDP, that is a party-wide effort. So I would like to refrain from making any comments on that from my position. As I said at the outset, Japan wants to continue to make steady efforts and work toward a two-state solution. Vis-à-vis Israel, if the situation further worsens and a foundation of a two-state solution collapses, we have clarified our position, saying that we will take a completely new stance. So we will study the situation when that unravels without ruling out any possibilities, including sanctions, and recognize Palestine as a state. If there are no further questions, we would like to conclude the press conference. Thank you.